You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Guess what day it is? Guess after I read your book.
Children of all ages, welcome to BC's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I'm broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, always spelled with a K. Awake and alive? Yeah. My computer died. Not the laptop, no, it's sitting right here in front of me right now. But the computer at home happened to die because I am a techno geek and because technology hates me.
Seriously.
And so I was doing my very level best running back and forth, ordering RAM, getting a new hard drive, all the things that I shouldn't have been doing instead of preparing for the show tonight. It'll be sort of catch as catch can, because a lot of other people that are going to be allegedly on the air tonight here are promising themselves to be in other locales as well. Ken McClinton at TECN TV is having a ton of people on his air. He's going to be here tonight. We're going to be on his show. It'll be sort of... but I'm equally concerned, if not more so. Interesting on Politico. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. 4 different sites right now. 4 different sites, all of them showing 4 different numbers on what's called, what's not, through social media as I go through. And one of the things that I have definitely noticed is you get to places like Virginia where, and I understand that the larger parts of Virginia, everywhere around D.C., the Hampton Roads area, all the way through there, are the more populated. But it's like 52% is in, and Trump is still up in Virginia on the latest numbers by like 9 points. So, and that doesn't mean, here we go right here. I get the numbers up right now. 58.3 for Trump, 39.9. And I understand how they do exit polling, all this other stuff before they make calls. But and Fox News called it, but a lot of other places have not called it, which is surprising. NBC News has not called Virginia one way or the other. ABC News has not called Virginia. Washington Times, or New York Times rather, has not called Virginia. You have 40% in, jumping really quick for Virginia, and around the D.C. area. Caroline County is a smaller county. You start getting outside of D.C., a lot of places hadn't come in. A lot of places that have come in, obviously, is more rural counties. And on the corner with West Virginia, down by North Carolina, Pennsylvania, counties like that. But it's just interesting to me to see that they haven't called Virginia. You look down here in Hampton City, which is there's a lot of has a 9-point lead, which may sound like a lot, but it's really not when you're talking about a difference of 2,000 votes. So I really think that Fox screwed up here by calling Virginia early. Like I said, that does not mean that it's not going to go for Biden. But what it shows me, at least, and like I said, I understand they have millions of people working on this, people that do this professionally every single day, blah, 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 blah. But when you don't have the other mainstream outlets, we deal with law of averages, right? I have 4 different projections going on. 3 out of 4 haven't called it. So I'm going to say that Virginia is still in play. Maybe I'm wrong.
Isn't it interesting, and we already made the observation, that Fox is not nearly as hesitant as it was last time, and it appears it's Fox that's calling states in 2020 that it was hesitant to call anything in 2016.
Yeah,
and as you indicated, ABC, some of the others are not calling states yet.
Right. And that's what's interesting. So I don't know what the right answer is sometimes with these calls. I don't know who's calling what and who's not calling what. And as I go through, and even now as I do the update, and we're waiting for a ton of states to come in: Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa's going to go Trump, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, and Texas, and should be coming through soon. As it stands right now, and this is another thing to look at, and this is why when we talk about polling, even exit polling, in which they use a lot of this voter analysis and exit polling to call states before all the counts are in, that's how they do it. You look at NBC News right now, has it 89-51 Biden with only 29% of the expected vote. Okay, so 89-51. You shoot over to ABC News, and they have it, and this is just updated, 80-51.
Are you talking electoral votes?
Yes, electoral votes.
Okay.
So there's 9 votes there, and it's Virginia. Virginia is the one that they haven't called out of those two. That's the difference maker right there. And then you go over to Fox, and Fox has Biden 129, Trump 94. Now, this isn't a projection as far as who they're trying to get to win. They can't change that. It's how they're projecting based on analysis. But I think it's interesting that there's such a separation here. Look, every state that you expected to go for Biden has gone for Biden. Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C. all went for Biden. Fully expected. Illinois, Biden, fully expected. Colorado, Biden, fully expected. None of the battleground states have jumped yet. As we're talking about with Florida, he's up almost 3 points. The president is. It's currently 51.2% to 47.9%. 91% reported. And Florida is one of those states that after the Tallahassee incident, they started counting mail-in ballots last week, so they can get to a quick 100% and be accurate tonight. Pennsylvania needs to take a page out of their book, which I'm sure after this election, Pennsylvania will take a page out of their book, because Pennsylvania's couldn't start until this morning. They had a ton of mail-in ballots, and it has been a total shit show. There's been reports of voter fraud, voter intimidation, people stuffing ballots. Pennsylvania is to elections, it seems like Chicago is to crime, where it's just completely corrupted. The Democrats, it's one of those states that the election process, whoever is in charge can kind of sway it. And I know you can say, well, that's every single state, Sean. No. These rules are made up so whichever party is in charge can start making all these differences, versus a lot of state right there voting procedures a little bit more stringent, where you don't have as much power at the upper echelon. And also Pennsylvania is a state where the attorney general said 2 days ago that Trump was going to lose. Democratic attorney general, I think his last name is Jordan. And he's running for re-election as well. So there's a lot of issues going on in Pennsylvania. We may not hear from Pennsylvania till Friday or longer.
This has to be one of, if not the strangest elections ever.
100% yes.
I still go back to the issue is, without a doubt, OMB. If it were anyone else other than Trump, I don't think you'd see quite as much fool attempts to subvert the election.
Well, and here's what it is, too. And I think look, prior to Trump, a lot of things were accepted, dirty or not, either on state government, on local government, on a federal level, right? That's why they hate President Trump. Tucker Carlson said the other night, he's a referendum on corruption and politics.
He's a referendum on the deep state, which is why so many people despise him.
Even on a state and local level, because of the changes that he's made federally or he's pushed for, the things that he said. So you now have people apply over federal, i.e. voting. They can play, they haven't got the ballots in yet. But you go into Pennsylvania, there's some questions going on in my head. Now, does Trump need Pennsylvania? Well, if he takes Florida, he doesn't necessarily need Pennsylvania. I know a lot of people out there saying, well, he has to take Pennsylvania. If he can take Florida, Ohio, and Wisconsin, or In Michigan, I don't think he needs Pennsylvania. I will tell you that Nevada, in my opinion, is going to go red. The industry was destroyed.
Really? Well, okay, all right. I see where you're going. I'm a little surprised, but I understand what you're going to say.
So the vast majority of Nevada income is through resorts and casinos, right? They've all been destroyed because of COVID. Even their opening has been slowed because of COVID. They're still opening, but they're not making nearly as much money. All of those people, and when I tell you that probably, I think it's something like 72% of Nevada, maybe I read it wrong, is a casino employee in one way or another. That tells you that something like COVID, where the state has resisted opening, and they're not going to sway that way. And there's a lot of talk. You look at social media, and we'll get into the rallies and everything, but there's a lot of talk that Nevada may actually go red. If that happens, it changes a lot. The other state that's closed, and I'm shocked nobody's making a call about, and these are bellwethers too, I think, for what is coming. New Mexico, traditionally a blue state, usually a quick call. It's closed, and there's no reporting out of New Mexico yet. They closed at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. on Eastern. So for them to not have any information in, and for it not to be a quick call to Democrats, does say a lot to me. So we're waiting to hear about that too.
Nevada, I can see that going red. Historically, it has been, well, historically, because Nevada is directly abutted against California, 10 years ago or more, people began to move to Nevada, if for no other reason than the taxes. And they'd move to Clark County, because that has the greatest population, or Reno, which I think is Douglas County. The rest of Nevada is primarily very, very red. But when Californians leave, just like when they moved all to Texas.
Washoe County.
Washoe County?
Yeah.
Okay. When the Texas governor came to California and attempted to recruit as many businesses out of California, he brought their philosophies along with them. And so they loved the taxes, but they also brought their politics. And that was in the process of now it's in the process of attempting to turn Texas purple.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. And here's why.
Really?
Because even though those businesses are going to Texas and you have a lot of people influxing into Texas, the reason I don't think why is a lot of the people that they're engaging with once they get to Texas are Texans. And yes, you're going to have your Austin, and you're going to have your pockets of liberals. They're always going to be there. They're in every single state. There's not much you can do about it. But once you start moving out, and you got to think about it too, if you were born and raised in California as a Democrat, and you don't know any better, and I mean that, you don't know any better. You think you do. But you're just so indoctrinated.
It is.
And then you're sitting at an office, or you're sitting on a job site, or you're sitting wherever with a guy or a gal for 8 hours a day who was born and raised in Texas, and they start saying, well, wait a minute, what about this? What about that? Well, have you thought about this? Well, yeah, I mean, I moved here because of taxes. Okay, well, that is how you change somebody's perspective. And there's one thing that Texans are that more than, I would say, 49 other states, they are absolutely proud about where they're born and raised. And that does translate.
This is a brief story about my dad. He tried to make me believe that he was born in Texas. Only later, when I wasn't a kid, did I come to understand that he was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota. And he left when he was a kid at about maybe 2 or so. And after having left, they moved to Texas, Dallas specifically. And after having moved to Dallas, and his dad was a newspaper man This is another funny thing. My dad used to attempt to tell me that during the Depression, it was terrible. How he had to scrimp and save until I discovered that later on, through the Depression, because of Dad's father's job, grandfather, Verto was his name, he was a newspaper man. And during the Depression, they had a maid.
Yeah. Yeah,
and so he...
But the maid was struggling, too.
and he attempted to tell me that, life was so bad for them.
It was.
And I'm sure it was because, everybody had to go through the Depression. But it was so bad that Dad, when you get down to little flakes of soap and whatnot, Dad would take the little flake and crust of soap and affix it in the shower to a new piece of soap so that he used every bit of every bar of soap.
Yeah, but
that's what everybody did during the Depression.
Yeah, but maybe this is just...
But he claimed Texas.
Maybe it's a different upbringing, but I did that too. And I think I was taught to do that. And it wasn't a Depression thing. Obviously, my parents are old, but they're not that old. But what it is I think that when you're raised by Depression era people, look, you don't get a maid and you don't get a nice house without working for it and saving for it and not spending your money foolishly, right? Even through the Depression.
Grandpa was a highly intelligent individual in banking and in news and in journalism.
But you add those two things together into a Depression era where it's forced, appropriately so, into your mind that you have to save everything. I can absolutely see why that would be considered waste. Look, I back before coming out of the energy crisis, look at energy crisis people. I grew up on heating oil in the house.
Oh, that's right. You're okay.
From the East Coast.
From the East Coast,
right.
Everybody uses heating oil. Got it.
And it was relatively inexpensive. Now, my parents by no means were loaded individuals, but when you look at the comparison costs, I think back in the day it was like 49 cents a gallon when I was growing up, which was considered a crazy amount of money because you had to put 200 gallons in the tank for a month. But my parents grew up in the energy crisis, much like yourself.
Right.
Oil heat. It was freezing in that house.
Well, I grew up when there was a rock crisis. You couldn't find certain like chert was really tough to find. Limestone was difficult to find.
Round wheels.
We had square wheels, and we thought we were sitting pretty with round wheels.
A couple interesting things to update here. Looking at the New York Times, and I know the Times reporting sucks, but usually the information they have about elections is decent as it's coming in. Maybe not what they've projected. In Florida, right now, it's not called, but they have Trump +3, forecast 95% to Trump. And this is the same forecast that we used during the last election when we saw Hillary start at like 91 as the night went on. We watched her go down and Trump go up, and that's how.
Right.
And everyone on every other network lost their mind blowing their heads. And now that we're a couple hours into getting results, I'm starting to look at their forecast because they're actually pretty good. So they have Florida, battleground state, 93% reported +3 Trump, and they're forecasting 95% to Trump. So they're forecasting that Trump probably will win. North Carolina, Biden's currently up at 1.8% with only 80% reporting.
Okay.
They're forecasting 92% chance that it's going to go to Trump in North Carolina. That's interesting. Ohio, they have nothing but Biden +3. Interesting one. Ready? Georgia, 40% reported. Trump +15.
What?
And there's an 85% chance Trump's going to take Georgia, and this is according to the Times. Michigan, they have Trump +20, but it's only 20% in, so not much going there. Pennsylvania, they have Biden +21, but there's only 19% reported. There's no forecast. When there's no forecast, that says a lot, because they'll forecast down to 10%. Oh, there's 10% likely. When they don't put a forecast next to these numbers, and then we're still waiting for Arizona and Nevada. That's your battleground states, the ones we're focused on. Look, if he takes the three that they've called, Georgia, Florida, and North Carolina, it's going to be really, really hard for Biden to find the rest of the way to 270. Because you're going to look at, California, Oregon, and Washington, the whole West Coast, that's already a done deal.
That's a wash.
Arizona's in play. Nevada's in play. So those two alone, the fact that they're just in play, and New Mexico, they're now shading light blue, but that still is not a call by any stretch of the imagination. So there is so much to look at right now. So much to look at. And it's going to be, right now, popular vote that's been tabulated, Trump has 50.1% of the popular vote currently. 27, almost 28 million votes to Biden's 27.1. And that says a lot, too, because look at how many popular areas have already gone. New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts,
Colorado.
Virginia, and this is including Virginia. Colorado isn't as populated. I'm talking about strict populated areas.
Okay.
Chicago has gone already. And we all know California will go. We know Seattle will go. We know Portland will go. So even at that, the fact that these numbers are still so tight on the popular vote is mind-boggling to me. I think you're going to see.
I think there will be another break. I think there will be another breaking wave, not dissimilar to what we experienced in 2016.
Well, if he starts taking these states, and Fox News just updated theirs, they shade the state to which way they're starting to lean for it. New Hampshire's leaning light blue, which the fact that New Hampshire didn't go blue right away kind of shocked me, and I said that a while ago. North Carolina is shading light blue, but that's still really early. As a matter of fact, it contradicts the Times, what the Times is saying. The Times is saying it's going to shade red. But Georgia, they're shading red. Florida shaded red. South Carolina, Michigan, and Wisconsin shading red. And Texas shading red. So,
okay, so are you trying to go this direction? As opposed to 2016, things are moving in Trump's direction earlier?
very slowly.
Okay. Hey, we got Jack on the line.
Hey, Jack.
So, Jack, if you're there, go ahead and chirp up, sir. Jack Alexander, one each. Jack Alexander.
Is your Bluetooth turned up?
Yeah, and it shows I'm connected. So
Maybe Jack's having sound issues everywhere tonight.
I don't know. Jack, are you there? Okay. You know what? Let's try Facebook again. I'll do this. I'll hang up. Rate the quality of your call. It sucked.
And while you're doing that, I'll talk to the folks a little bit.
Okay, great.
So right now we're looking, and as I look through the big three, right? NBC, ABC, Fox, I'm adding into that, and the Times, New York Times. South Carolina, by the liberal rags, if you will, NBC, ABC, and the Times, have all been called for Trump. They have not yet been called by Fox. And again, whenever...
And weren't you saying that Fox is calling crap early now?
Yes. So I don't know if they've slowed down. I don't know if... And this is why I was telling people all week, don't listen to the media when they call things per se. We use them as kind of a talking point, if you will. But still, like, I'm looking at Virginia. You're at 47% in, even though that's been called for Biden by Fox. Trump's up 55 to 43. Can you imagine if he flipped Virginia, a place that was not supposed to be in play? That's what I'm looking at in a lot of states that aren't supposed to be in play, to see if anything bizarre happens. Like I said, New Mexico is starting to shade, but they only have 32% in. But the simple fact that it took that long and it wasn't an instant boom New Mexico for Biden was shocking to me.
I have had Jack on, and I haven't had anything going through Bluetooth. It shows that everything is working. Yep.
Stand by.
It showed that it was connecting. So I'm going to try it again. It shows that it is now connected. And I'm going to try an experiment on the air.
Oh,
because
good.
it worked before.
There it is.
Yep.
Welcome to the Caltrans Highway Information Service.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
working.
so I called Caltrans. And so, Jack, try it again. I know my Bluetooth is working. That confirmed it. So try it uno mas, and with luck, you'll be getting back in. And Jeff Dunitz. Hey, welcome to Jeff Dunitz. He's in chat.
Hey, Jeff.
And Mike is in chat. Jack is in chat. Jeff Dunitz says, VA, Virginia is not a swing state. It's a blue state.
Yeah, I know. And that's what's bizarre about this. So you have ABC, NBC, and the New York Times refusing to call it. Trump did. All right, the Times just called it. But that's going to tell you, it's really going to tell you how they're not sure in a lot of places. And it's insane to me. And if you look at the map, especially in the New York Times, you break it down into the counties. Even some of the states around Alexandria are not going as blue as they usually have. You get into Loudoun County, where Trump's up, and that's right there near D.C. All of those are right there near D.C. and Baltimore. So I'm not saying it's not it's lost, but what I'm saying is the fact that they are not calling these right away says to me that either two things. One, they learned a little bit of a lesson maybe the last election, but two, there's a lot of doubt in those newsrooms where things are going to finally land. Like I said, Virginia should have been a done deal. I would have called Virginia before the election started. And the fact that you have all these other states on the East Coast that are being called and nobody's touching Virginia, or they hadn't been. NBC still is not. ABC still is not. And that, to me, is a huge, huge indication.
Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I just got to turn off the show so you don't hear it both ways.
Okay. Caller, could you please mute your speaker so we don't hear it over the air?
Hey,
Jeff.
it's Jeff Dunnis. First time, long time.
I know. It's so great. Jeff, you made a great point in chat, and that's why I just called you. You said in chat, it's not what the totals are showing. It's where they are going. So tell me what you mean by that.
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one, when they say, like, it's 50% of all districts, that's based on 2016.
Mm-hmm.
This year we expect a higher turnout, so it's actually lower than 50%.
Right.
You understand, right? Okay, that's
Okay.
one thing. The other thing is, it could be, they could have 75% of the total, and Biden is kicking ass, but the remaining areas are pro-Trump.
Yeah.
And, they're expecting that there's a giant turnout for Trump.
Well, and Jeff,
At
so
least that's what Trump's counting on. The House we already lost.
yeah, and we knew that. But you start
Right.
looking at so again, you've been watching these elections a hell of a lot longer than I've been alive, Jeff.
Wow.
But the reality is, a state like Virginia, and just to bring up your point right now, a state like Virginia that it's been blue for God knows how many years now, right? The fact
And
that
they
you
still
have
count it as a swing state.
right now, they're not calling it right away. And that's shocking to me. And that says that they don't know. There's counties that haven't come in yet that they don't know which way they're going to go. And the latest one, and with 47% in, as you said, It's 55 to 43 with Trump winning, and that's 1.2 million votes to 963,000 votes. That's a sizable margin with 47% in. And again, like you said, that was based off of what showed up last time. Now, if they're having an influx of voters that they were not expecting, that does not count for 2016, that 47% could actually be maybe 42. Right?
Yeah.
Because it drops that number way down. So I almost wonder if, the two that I've seen that have called it, maybe they may have been a little anxious or underestimated the amount of votes that were going to all of a sudden show up.
Well, you got to understand a couple of things. Number one, a lot of those places are a little skittish because they still had Hillary winning at this point.
Yes.
Okay, so they're really, that's a big part of it, and so they're a little skittish to call things. The Hill called it, and Fox called it. Fox says that right now with the results, it's probably going to be Trump, Florida, but they don't know yet.
Right. Well, and they're saying the same thing about Ohio. You look at Ohio, and even though Ohio is only a point separation, with 70% in, Trump's up by a point.
Yeah, but again, it depends. Texas. My favorite thing, people are saying, "Hey, gee, Texas looks like it's going Biden."
Yeah, no.
Okay. I told somebody that I'd eat my cell phone, but understand this: West Texas.
Yep.
Okay, they close an hour before the rest of it.
Yep.
Okay, West Texas is like all next to those liberal states.
Oh yeah, Colorado, New Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
East Texas comes in later. That's the more conservative part.
Right, and the other thing too
so
is
again, it's not though. It's what really matters is where they're coming in.
Well, in your larger cities, which have a tendency to have your more liberal voters go quickly because it's right. They have more coordination, right? You're not waiting. They have more volunteers. They have more information. They have more technology, usually, to get that vote information out quickly. Whereas in other parts of the state, you may only have 3 volunteers for the whole county. So the fact that more liberal numbers go early, mail-in voters, this election is expected to be very high amongst liberals, but in-person voting for conservatives is expected to be very high. So, yeah, it's definitely a toss-up. The fact that New Mexico wasn't called the minute the polls closed was mind-blowing to me.
Well, but they didn't get the results enough, and the place is right. I hope New Mexico goes Trump, but it ain't.
It ain't.
Okay? I'm going to wake up with hair before New Mexico goes.
Yeah, me a six-pack.
Here's something that a lot of people are talking about, though. Trump is getting a bigger percentage of the African-American vote and the Latino vote.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
I spoke to Ken McClinton.
Me too.
I then checked in with Ralph Chittims. And I checked in with Lonnie Poindexter. These are 3 great Americans who are frequently on my show. And I asked them...
African-American and smart people.
Who are conservatives. And who I've... Oh, and Randy Perham. Who I've had, all of them I've had on the show before.
Randy Perham's black?
Randy
Perham's black?
You weren't aware?
Then why is he named after a Jewish holiday?
I don't know. Good grief.
Oh, Lord.
But I asked them all the same question. I said, there are polls in late October that have the black American vote at, and it began around 26%. Later in October, 28%, 29%, and then 31%. And each one of these individuals, I said, there's the poll. 31% seems way over the top. I've heard 20%. What do you think? And each one said, it'll be this time around. I mean, I'm talking Randy, Ken, Ralph, Lonnie. Each man said it will be a minimum of 17%, up to 20 to 21%. That's absolutely unprecedented, whereas before, the greatest amount of black votes acquired by any Republican was about 6%.
Actually, it was Trump last time at 8%.
There you go.
Which
But
is,
you know what?
it's incredible.
Yeah, but if Trump gets 20%, I can go home and I can go to sleep now. It's not going to happen.
Well, but here's the thing too, and I don't think they're going to get the full 20. I think you're probably going to get 17, 18. You'll have last minute changes.
Probably closer to 15, but
okay,
which is still twice what he got last time.
yeah. But one of the things that has scared Dems and all the Dem commentators over the last couple months is how many people of color, so to speak, are starting to show up to these Trump rallies and on social media. You go on social media, and it's really easy to see the influx of not only people of color, but LGBTQ community coming out as conservatives.
Brendan Strzok, who I've had on 4 times, supposed to have him on last Tuesday, but he was busy because he got invited to Omaha at a speaking engagement.
He turned you down for Trump.
Yeah, he turned me. I got kicked, Jeff. Can you believe I got kicked to the curb for President Trump? God, that ingrate.
But this election has changed a lot in that regard, and this is what Dems were petrified of with Trump is which is why they went after the whole he hates gays and he's racist repeatedly for years, because once that door opens and people said, I could see policy-wise what he's doing, but, I still don't like the guy. And when other people start liking somebody and make it okay, you become more likely to say, oh, I do feel comfortable because I have these 2 or 3 people I can talk about. And that grows and grows and grows.
There's an article that
They're
just
talking,
came out.
they're talking in Florida. They're talking in Florida of the Latino vote being higher than it's ever been for any Republican.
Yes.
And I want 40%.
Those people who don't like Trump's personality, I give them this alternative. I say, you got 2 heart surgeons. One is the best in the world.
Yeah.
But he's a real son of a bitch.
What?
He talks, he curses all the time, etc. The other one is meh, but he's a really nice guy and a Boy Scout.
He's a really nice guy, and
want?
he's only needs surgery in his hands a few times from his own cuts.
And so, which surgeon are you going to go to?
Oh no, I've used that same analogy, and actually Ben Shapiro I thought put it great a couple week ago. Where he goes, look, even if you don't like Trump's personality, you already know it.
That's right.
It's not going anywhere else. So why is that even a factor anymore? Throw it out. Look at what he's policy. He goes, look, going into the last election, you could argue his personality because he had no policies. He had no political wins. He had no resume to run on as a politician.
Exactly.
So you could attack his personality. This time, you're looking at, all right, maybe he's got some personality flakes we don't like, but you look at his policy, and he has been more conservative than anybody thought he would be.
And that's a series of wins that Democrats hate.
Yep.
The other thing that I said a long time ago is that who in the hell ever said that there are an assload of undecideds in this country? I saw a poll today just before I got here. People who were saying that they showed to the polls and were undecided before they literally walked in was 4%.
Yeah.
People have been saying 73% of the people were saying that a month or 2 ago. They'd already decided who they were going to vote for, which is why I said this big thing that primarily the leftists and the Democrats were saying is that it's going to be the independents and the undecideds that are going to call that bullshit.
No, I don't think so. I think it was rallying the conservative base and letting other people who were previously told it is not okay for you to vote for a conservative because you are X, Y, and Z class, who have shunned that specter that's held over them. I think, and maybe they've always been voting once the curtain closes, nobody's over their shoulder, but they've become more vocal, which has led to other people thinking to vote that way.
And it's also led to this. This is an article that just came out in Yahoo today. The headline, Black men are voting for Trump because of chauvinism.
Yes.
Says a former NAACP president.
Yep.
Black men who choose to vote for Donald Trump are doing so because of chauvinism, said former NAACP president
Attack him.
Ben Jealous.
Attack them. And you don't even have to go into that, because here's what it is. And we've seen this 100 times before, right? God. They're going to find any reason to rip apart a portion of that vote and say you're a bad person because of X, Y, and Z.
But how many times can you get called stupid
I do have breaking
and not
news.
react?
I do have some sort of breaking news.
Okay.
The Vegas bookmakers, and I follow a couple people who've been putting that out, that were previously, up until 25 minutes ago, favoring Biden, are now favoring Trump.
Overall?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. That's kind of
That's nice.
That's an interesting take. Look, these people, literally, they're going to make or lose money if they're right or wrong. They have their ear to the ground.
Screw the pooch
probably
big
better
time.
than the news does, right? Because the media is not going away no matter how screwed up they are. They're not going anywhere. These guys could lose it all.
Arkansas, Trump, 61%, Biden, 35%. Ohio, Richardson, Colorado. They went to Colorado. Now they went to Connecticut. Trump, 43%, Biden, 54%.
I got a couple for you right now that I can update you on.
Okay.
Ohio specifically. Like you said, Trump's 50.6, Biden's 48.1. So there's been separation in the last, since Jeff's been on the phone, because that was one of the first ones I talked about when Jeff came on. That's interesting. The part that hasn't come in yet is I pull up that county specifically. They haven't called the northeast corner, which is right on the border of Pennsylvania, but those are all oil workers, steel workers, people that work in the Pennsylvania oil fields, work in Ohio oil fields. Haven't called that yet. So that's interesting because that's going to be where the change is, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and I'm still going back to, what is this? Now, this is Epic Times. Epic Times presidential results. Biden 115, that hasn't shifted. Trump 129, that has shifted up.
Well, and so they're not counting Virginia for Biden yet there either.
I have it 129 Biden, 103 Trump.
Yeah, but who are you seeing that through?
A little of everybody.
Okay, so right now I'm seeing 131 Biden, 192 Trump, and that's through the Times.
Oh, this is better. On Politico, I'm seeing 131 Biden, check. Trump, 93.
Yeah, that's you know what? It's in the range. Okay?
Now,
by the way, Lindsey Graham just won.
That's huge.
Really?
That's huge.
I have to tell you,
South
Jeff,
Carolina was just called for him, was also just called for Trump.
I have to tell you, Jeff, I am surprised. I am surprised.
What was
this
just
time
called
around.
for Trump?
South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. I had that as for him.
So
Cold.
that's interesting. I'll tell you
Didn't
right now,
expect it. Didn't see that
what
coming.
saved Lindsey is his last year of how he's acted in public, how he's worked with Trump, and how he has how he dealt with Amy Coney Barrett too,
and also how he dealt with Kavanaugh.
Well,
that
yeah,
was the
right.
beginning of the change in Lindsey Graham.
Well,
was Kavanaugh.
Here's the thing that Lindsey did, I think, better than a lot of other politicians. Lindsey was going to be, and he got out ahead of it and started to change. He tried to push back at the very beginning. That first year, he tried to push back a little bit and said, this isn't going to work, and I better be on the right side of history.
Well, but there's something else. I mean, this is going to sound horrible, but John McCain died.
Yeah.
And Lindsey Graham was John McCain's mini-me. And John McCain hated Trump.
Yeah.
So he wasn't going against McCain.
Oh.
Reading Lindsey Graham up.
I don't know who that is. A couple of projections that are going on right now. Florida, and this is the New York Times, and this is just their forecast, but Trump plus 3 at 93% of the votes reported. They got a 95% chance of him taking it. North Carolina, even though Biden's up 0.6, not even a point, 0.6, 84% in, and they're still saying it's 95% chance that Trump's going to take it. Georgia, Trump up 14 with 49% in, And they have it at 83% that he's going to take Georgia, which was up from, I think, like 75 not too long ago. So interesting to see.
If you remember 4 years ago, Georgia took forever to call.
Yeah, Georgia was one of the after midnights, definitely after midnights. And they had a low voter turnout, too. I was saying that earlier. One of their polling officials said the bigger city, Atlanta, specifically, had a much lower in-person voter turnout than they expected, and that could play very well for Trump.
Right. But, again, those are all just projections.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, it makes you feel good, but I try not to do the feel good because I don't want to get too excited.
No, but when you start, well, I mean, at the end of the day, that would just mean we should hold this show 3 days from now. And not report
No,
on
at the end of the day, I mean, we will know. I think we'll have if he doesn't win Georgia and he doesn't win Florida, don't worry about it. We can go to sleep.
Well, and on the other hand, too, if he takes Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan, and Ohio, then Pennsylvania is a non-factor.
Yeah, but he's not winning Minnesota.
He's not as of right now. That's right.
No, he's not going to be as of tomorrow morning either.
Yeah, well,
the only, I mean, if I've talked to people who live in the state,
mm-hmm.
and they say it's closer, but it ain't going.
Well,
and conservatives.
Really, really a bigger turnout than anyone's ever expected. He didn't win, but like Massachusetts, for him to get 30% of the vote in a state like Massachusetts is kind of impressive.
Well, this is going to sound very narcissistic, but you know the real reason I want Trump to win?
Hit it.
I want to go to the inauguration and sit next to, Adam Schiff. And during the whole time, just turn every 5 seconds going, nah.
Adam Schiff can't open his mouth and not tell a lie.
No, that's...
It's physically impossible for him.
You know what I call him?
Probably Adam Shit.
No, the bug-eyed, bloviating barrister of Burbank.
That was my fault. I should have guessed that.
Yeah, because why not?
Update on Florida at 91%. 51.3 for Trump, 47.8 for Biden. And Jeff, like we talked about earlier, that was based on last year's projections, but as I said earlier too, the thing you have to look at with Florida is because of the Al Gore incident, they changed their voting procedure and they've been counted mail-in and early votes early.
Right.
So today
which means that Trump will probably do better as the night goes along because the show up in person votes tend to be Republican.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing now because earlier it was within a point an hour ago, and now it's getting to be about 4 points. It's close to 4 points, 3.5. So even that little separation, that start to pull away, is starting to become more visible. And the last part of the state, from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, is the Panhandle is usually the last ones to report, and that is deep, deep red.
That's right. Panhandle closes an hour after the rest of the state.
Yes, and so I'm going to pull up the Panhandle now just to kind of see where they're at percentage-wise, because that is a big deal. I mean, you have Liberty County that's not in yet. You go all the way across, all the way up from Escambia County all the way through Gulf County. It's all red. Everything on the coast is red with the exception of Hillsborough and Pinellas. I based on what's still out, it's going to be interesting to see how Biden comes back. There's a lot of places that are getting close to filling up.
Here's an interesting point.
Also, I heard Miami traffic today was down.
Oh.
And Miami, it goes,
Miami-Dade
usually goes in.
Yeah, but so here's the funny part. Miami-Dade County is projected at 98%. And no, BZ, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But Biden only has 100,000 vote lead in Miami.
I'm looking at Politico.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I would expect these people not to indicate what they're indicating. Now, these are the challenged states. Politico indicates right now Trump 51%, Biden 47%. Arizona, Biden up 55-42. Okay. Georgia 55-43 Trump. Michigan 55-42 Trump. Michigan. Will Michigan go that way? Will Michigan go Trump? This is also interesting. Just like you said, Pennsylvania 49-47 Trump. Nevada 0%, 0%. Now, Idaho.
Still open.
Yep, Idaho, Iowa, Montana, Nevada, and Oregon just closed their polls 5 minutes ago. They closed at 7 Pacific. So, Nevada, I get that. Alabama, races. Now, in Alabama races, the Republican, 60% ahead. In Georgia, the Senate, Purdue is ahead. In Georgia, Colorado, Hickenlooper is ahead. North Carolina.
Yeah, Colorado's been called.
Yeah, Hickenlooper's in for Colorado.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay. Collins ahead of Gideon, 57-36.
How much of the state is done?
11% of votes in.
Nah. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
That state is going to have a Democratic senator instead of a Republican senator who votes Democratic.
Yeah, you're not really. I know she's technically the number, but it's a trade-off with her.
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, not quite, because you still need the majority.
No,
so
I know that. I'm just saying voting-wise.
Yeah.
In Arizona for the Senate, Kelly 56, Mcsally 43. Unfortunately, I think that's going to go for Kelly.
Yeah, but you're looking at Arizona, though. Arizona just closed its doors. You're not getting all the percentage in. Like you're probably right. It's probably going to go to Kelly. But as I'm looking, and again, I go back to ABC News and NBC News, still haven't called Virginia for Trump. Still haven't.
You mean for Biden?
For Biden, rather.
Arizona 67% in.
That is just mind-boggling to me, though.
Okay, do you think it's because they're hedging bets? They're waiting to see anything more conclusively? Or they're just going hands off right now, and they're going to see they don't want to claim anything for or against because they got the little fingers crossed.
Yeah, and that could very well be it, or they just don't want to eat it later on. But it seems like it would be a no-brainer. I mean, it should be. And you have to realize that you have a population of 8.65 million in Virginia, and 54% in has only been 2.5 million. So there's a lot of votes to come in. You know, even if 50% vote, you're still looking at another 2 million votes coming in. So it could go either way, but the fact that there's still that big of a spread is shocking. Want to go through some of the battleground stuff through the Times, and again, their forecast is usually decent, if you will. Right now, they have Florida still for Trump, North Carolina, 95% chance of Trump taking it, Ohio, they're showing +2 for Trump, Georgia, they're still showing Trump for the same numbers. Here's an interesting one. Where is it? I just saw it. 23% reported Pennsylvania. They're showing Trump up +4.
Okay, but anybody who calls Pennsylvania tonight
is a lunatic.
Is lying.
Oh yeah, because
they don't start counting the absentee and early votes till tomorrow.
Right. The door. They do the in-person vote tonight, and then they start getting the other ones tomorrow.
Right.
It's going to be interesting. Arizona, they're at 70%, and Trump's putting a little bit more. He's gained 2% in that, 54-46. And again, a lot of the more populated areas haven't come in yet, so there's some more work to do there. But let's see, they're actually saying Montana is starting to lead Biden, which I think is interesting.
Oh, yeah, Montana's going to go Trump.
Yeah, that's just, yeah. And again, that's how you say, like, some of these early numbers are just not very beneficial.
Well, yeah, exactly. Look at what we've been doing. We've been watching Fox. I'm looking at the screen right there. The sound is down. We're looking at Fox. Now, I'm looking at Fox at their estimates here on their website. Fox just said on TV that they gained numerous seats in the House. Okay. Went to Fox News. Now it says House, balance of power, 69 Democrats, 90 Republicans. Apparently they're not getting all their information. It's still way too early, but it's interesting.
They're counting on which ones won. That's the,
Yeah, and
but the other thing is,
go ahead.
I mean, they haven't called it yet. I don't even know if it closed yet, but Idaho is going to go Trump.
Yeah.
Next to Montana.
Yeah, Idaho.
Who's going to go?
Idaho.
Idaho. No. Don't call yourself names. Idaho.
Some people have said that of you, Jeff, but I don't believe it.
No, you're going to see Idaho is going to start coming in soon. If it's not already starting to come in, Utah they already have Trump up 4% at 44% in. Utah's I think it's going to go Trump. I don't think that's going to be a hard one. Arizona, they're still showing Biden with a 10-point lead, but it's only 2 million votes that are in, so that could sway 10 points easy.
You know what? I can't wait with Utah? I can't wait. What is it, 2 years or 4 years when Mittens runs for re-election?
Mittens is not going to run for re-election. I've already anticipated. I think
you're right. I think
he's going to retire and walk away so he doesn't face the embarrassment of being slaughtered.
Because I think he would be flaked.
Oh, in a second.
Yep.
In a second. So you start looking at Utah. Who's from Utah who is highly conservative and has a very good presence that could probably easily walk in and take that?
And who would you think?
Jason Chaffetz.
There you go.
Oh, you know what? He's great.
Yeah, I think he would take that in a
second. I really
second.
like him. If he wants to run.
I think
that's the biggest question. That's like Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy is out, and Trey Gowdy is kind of an odd duck occasionally too.
Trey Gowdy is out as long as he doesn't see the opportunity he wants, and I think Chaffetz is the same way too. I think if in a couple years, the idea of being a senator, and especially to kind of undo what Mittens has done and take back. Chaffetz is definitely like a Utah proud type guy, right? He loves his state.
Yes, he does.
Speaks very highly of it. What?
His kids will be 4 years older.
Yes.
And that's really the reason why
he bounced out.
He bounced out.
Yep. And so, but also the representation of Mittens in Washington, I think, pisses him off on a personal level. And Chaffetz carries a grudge. He's not afraid to admit it. And I could see him absolutely coming back and running for Senate there.
And I think the chance of him doing that would be twofold: great and greater.
Yeah.
I think he's a great guy.
I think he's a good
I've
guy.
met him a couple of times. He's really good. He's really nice.
Well, see, now, do you want the nice doctor or do you want the competent doctor, Jeff?
No, he's nice and competent.
Oh, okay, the best of both worlds.
And you know what? He can be an SOB when it's needed.
Yeah, and he's a good SOB.
I used to enjoy watching the debates of two people in various chambers. I used to love listen to Trey Gowdy chew somebody's ass. That was always fun, using various logic bombs. And I also enjoyed Jason Chaffetz doing the same thing, throwing many logic bombs as well. That to me was pure. That was a lot of good fun. Senate balance of power right now: 43 Democrats, 38 Republicans. What?
Read your phone.
Well, no, really, when you look at it, only one seat's flipped. Okay, Dems are +1. So, I mean, if Trump wins, they have to be +4 to take the Senate.
Yeah, and you know, and again, that doesn't. I think McConnell winning, settled a lot of people down in the Senate department. If he had a hard time, I think there would have been a lot more nerves. But he should have won handedly. Everyone thought he was going to win handedly, but there was still some.
I don't know. I was hearing that there were some people saying that, well, it's not entirely impossible that because of all the things that have been going on and Mitch McConnell is a terrible individual, that there was going to be a big challenge for him. Now, I'm looking at FoxNews.com, and I'm seeing House balance of power, and Fox TV said, they just increased a whole bunch of seats. But still on Fox.com, 74 Democrats, 93 Republicans. So it's still... There are some indicators, but it's still a little bit too early. Well, let's talk about Joe Biden for a second, because I think these things about Joe Biden say a lot about where the Democrats are, but it also says something about Harris as well. Joe Biden says capital punishment, death penalty, abolish it. Okay. Cash bail reform. End it. Funny thing is, cash bail reform is on the propositions, one of the propositions in California. We spell it with a K. Now, in New York, the state of where you are, Jeff, does something like a proposition exist in your state?
Yes.
Where if you get X number of people who sign a petition, then you can place it on the ballot. And that occurs?
No, it's not that. It's that the legislature and the governor signed it. They do it. Okay? It passed.
Okay. So now cash bail reform...
Criminals get to...
That's permanent now.
Criminals just get to go... You bet. They get to go right back on the street.
Okay, so that's just... They weren't using the ruse of coronavirus. They went for it completely.
Oh, it was before Corona.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I can understand, though, Biden, wanting that. Because if he loses, Hunter might need it.
Oh, it's very, very critical. Very critical. In California, cash bail reform is under Newsom. It's temporarily reformed, but now it's on the proposition. And I don't think that California, at this point, it'll be very close for this proposition, but I don't think it will pass. Cocaine sentencing disparities. This is something out of the 90s. Scrap the disparity. Mandatory minimum sentences reform. Eliminate mandatory minimum sentences. Private prisons, eliminate them. He's going to want an hour minimum wage. Jeff, in the state of New York, has the $15 an hour minimum wage affected things that you can determine?
Sort of. Because right after it went in, so did COVID. But it's going to kill. I mean, the projections are it's going to kill the restaurant business. As a matter of fact, in Washington, when they did it in Seattle, a lot of their businesses, small businesses, closed.
Yes, that's true. And they went across the river and across the county into Kings County. And it's, they paint things with a broad brush. That's why they put people into categories. It's one thing if someone is been working in a restaurant for 30 years that they should get $15 an hour. It's another thing if someone's working, a kid working for McDonald's. I mean, it's not the same thing. No, it isn't. And again, those should all be entry-level jobs. I had a job at a fast food restaurant. I had a job as a waiter. We all did. We took tons of different jobs as we were growing up, but they were entry-level jobs. And then what we wanted to do or be or aspire to, then we either got the requisite training, education, and experience to do those things. But it seems...
Well, my first job, I made the big bucks. I got $9,000 a year.
Do you remember what year?
1985, I think it was.
Wow. Okay.
No, I mean, but no, it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was 2 years after college. It's just like, look, starting out, I know I was willing to sweep floors to get a job.
Yes, anything.
But we were brought up differently.
And not just sweeping floors, doing anything, multiple jobs at one time.
Yeah.
In the
Absolutely.
70s, as I was going through, in the late 60s, early 70s, as I was going through college, I was on anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 radio stations at a time, going to school during the day, going to school at night. I worked for KFBK in the morning. I worked for KFBK in the afternoon. And then I also went and I had any number of part-time jobs just so that I could pay for my car, for my insurance, and for my books.
Yep.
And I don't remember people complaining, oh, I've got to have more than one job. It was expected. I couldn't live on one job. I had to have a number of jobs. Because at that point for college, my parents had already said something similar to, son, get out. You're over 18. Get out and earn your way. And by the way, you ain't coming back. So I got out.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to have, the kids got to grow up. And the way they grow up is that they have to get a job. They have to make money, and they have to move out of the house. Now, granted, my dog is 14, and I still have her living in the house, but
that's
in dog years.
Yeah, that's an exception.
That's allowed.
That's an exception.
Yes.
Hey, in the chat room, welcome to Jack Alexander. Welcome to Sergeant Booker. Welcome to Mike. Welcome to Texas Dan. And also welcome to one viewer. So thanks for being here tonight, everybody, in the SHR Media chat room. I haven't looked, unfortunately, at Facebook. Facebook and I are not seeing eye to eye. So I'm not monitoring Facebook right now. I couldn't do anything with Facebook. I did start Facebook up just for the hell of it, but unfortunately, because I've got to keep so many eyes on so many different places, I just am not looking at Facebook. And even if I were looking at how many people were on Facebook, and for those people who are watching on Facebook, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. But even if you were to ask me the most critically important question in the history of history, I couldn't reply. Because I've been suspended on Facebook. So you may as well not even interact with me because you won't be able to interact with me.
I'm out. I'm in jail until December 19th. I guess being
Really?
back on Facebook. Yeah, well, I can post on my own page, and I can post on SHR, but I can't post on anything else. So I guess my Christmas present is I get to use Facebook again.
Oh, well, I'm suspended for 30 days. I won't be allowed back until November 24th. And isn't it convenient that you and I were both suspended for things so that we, during a political time, during this critical political election time, we couldn't post anything to Facebook?
Yeah, what do you know? Well, if you remember in 2018, just before the election, they did that purge of over 100 conservative sites.
Yeah, exactly.
It's their ball. What are you going to do? It's their ball, and who knows when, they let us use it.
I was looking at a Fox poll, and I was talking to Sean about this earlier. Only today did I discover that Fox polls are conducted by the Associated Press, by AP. The condition of the economy. Pardon?
Sort of.
Sort of?
It's just the raw numbers. The interpretation is done by the Fox decision room.
Okay. In October of 2020, condition of the economy, 33% of the people think that it's excellent or good. October 2020, 65% of the people think it's fair or poor. So we know that Trump is a coronavirus president. Can you imagine then, Jeff, what would occur now if coronavirus had not visited? What do you think would have occurred?
Real quick.
Then we have a landslide.
Everyone's announcing now, including the AP, that Tommy Tuberville actually won the election from Doug Jones in Alabama.
That was. I would have put money on that one.
Yeah, but
the only reason why Doug Jones won is because the incumbent had a little thing with little girls.
Yes, but that being said, Biden's running for president, so that's really no a bellwether for this country anymore.
Right. However, okay, I understand the CNN people went a little crazy.
Really?
Because in their exit poll showed that 48% of the population thought Trump was doing a good job with the China virus.
Uh-oh. That doesn't bode well.
And apparently they had a heart attack.
Oh, how terrible. Here's another aspect, another question. Is coronavirus under control in the U.S.? Completely under control, 5%. That was in September. Mostly under control, 16%. Somewhat under control, 27%. And not at all, 51%. So that may or may not. Well, here's another question. We were talking about it earlier. The people who are Hispanic versus seniors in Florida, does it appear as though the Hispanic vote is going to weigh more heavily than those seniors who are fearful of coronavirus?
Well, the seniors voted for Trump last time. And the problem is that, they're very frightened of corona. But the Cubans and the Venezuelans whose family grew up.
Uh-oh.
No, something happened to Facebook, but that's okay. It's connecting. On Fox News, it says electoral scorecard, Biden 129, Trump 109.
Well, and here's a funny thing. I'm scrolling through social media. Somebody posted, and I don't know who on CNN said this, but CNN just now said if Trump can turn Virginia red, then the president is going to be reelected. So CNN hasn't called Virginia
okay
either.
Is that the reason, Sean, that you think that they have been clearly hesitant to pull that big red handle?
Well, and so I go back. We've added another 5%. It's 55% in, and I understand that there can be less populated areas. I understand how all that works. And Trump is still up 52 to 45 in Virginia. That's
Northam's state.
Yeah.
That's Governor Northam, Governor Blackface, Governor KKK, the Democrats magically they excused him from any of those things.
It is just insane to me that Virginia's out there still from most of the other news agencies.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
We have another caller. Is somebody on the phone? Go ahead, caller.
How you doing, guys?
Okay. It sounds like Alexander, Jack, one each.
Hey, Jack. How are you, sir?
Still dealing with this damn COVID lockdown, but hey, we've got this three-ring circus they call the presidential election going on.
Well, it could be worse. You could be in New Zealand where they're starting to set up COVID camps.
Okay, stop.
What?
Is that true?
Apparently, if you refuse to get tested in New Zealand, they're making places for you to stay if you're showing any symptoms. I've seen that in a couple different places.
Oh, I haven't.
COVID camps.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I've seen it in a few different places.
I haven't heard that. I pray that the state premier doesn't hear that. Otherwise, I'll be in some deep shit because there's no way I'm getting tested.
The good part is, Jack, you'll have a nice government-funded facility that you'll be able to chill out in for a few weeks.
Okay. Do you guys? I have some stats.
All right, go for it.
Do you want the stats?
For what?
I'm just for Wuhan 19 deaths. Since you brought it up, in New Zealand, cases 1,971. They went up 5 cases. Deaths 25. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's perfectly good reason to start putting people into camps.
That's insane.
If it's okay with Jack, while I have him on the phone, I want to roll through some numbers for battleground states because I feel like that's kind of mucho importante given the election.
Jack, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack, you okay with that? I know you're making the long distance call.
Yeah. Shoot.
Okay,
I got minutes. Yeah.
Keep the Roo plugged in. So Florida is still 94% in. Trump's up by 3. It's actually getting closer to 4. Well, 51.3 to 47.8%. So yeah, it's 3.5 points right now. 91% in. I don't know why they haven't called it yet, but we went through this in 4 years ago too, where we waited all night for them to call Florida. North Carolina, Trump's up 0.8 with 89% estimated reporting in, and they're still leaning that way. Arizona, 75%. Biden's up +9, but the New York Times is not putting a forecast on that yet. So that means it's too early for them to even forecast, which is interesting. Ohio, same thing, +5 for Trump, no forecast. Georgia, 83% still holding for Trump, 55% estimated reporting. They have Trump up +12. Wisconsin, 1.7% up for Trump with 33%, no forecast. Minnesota, Biden +25 with 34% in. Michigan, Trump +11, 33% in. Pennsylvania, Trump +8 with 31% in. Nevada's not closed. Nevada should be closed now. No, I'm sorry. Nevada's not closed yet. I was just reading numbers.
Dan made an excellent point in chat. Holy crap. Dan Butcher. He said, one example of absurd media bias, it's calling Virginia with 1% of the vote in, but pretending that Florida isn't done when Trump leads by nearly 300,000 votes, and the only remaining areas to count are heavily Republican.
3.5 points, right? So essentially what they're doing is they're not being honest.
It's not just a finger on the scales, it's a rock on the scales.
Yeah. And the problem is, and I agree with Dan wholeheartedly, look, you even look at, and this is why, like, Fox News wondering why outside of Tucker so many people are starting to turn them off, is just things like that.
It's the late night stuff that's keeping them afloat. Tucker has unprecedented ratings in the past 2 or 3 months.
Jack, I want to point out something that I thought has been amazing, and I don't know if you can see this inside Australia, but we get a lot of stuff over here from Sky News Australia that is insanely pro-Trump.
Yeah, Sky News Australia is the only that's look, I wouldn't call them right-wing, but I would at least call them the more honest out of all of the media. And while we're talking about Australian media, I have got one of the funniest stories that's gone on. The Channel 10 network here in Australia is owned by CBS in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Their live rebroadcast on Facebook of the CBS election coverage got taken down by the Facebook copyright strike algorithm.
That's awesome. I love it when they eat their own. I just got somebody reported to me, and I'm trying to get some hard data on it, is apparently the Nasdaq Futures just jumped through the roof. That's a big sign. That's a big sign. Couple things. They're projecting Nebraska and Utah for Trump. We kind of saw that coming. And that is per ABC. I go back to Virginia, 52% still for Trump, 46% for Biden. I understand the numbers, but that they're at 57% in, so that's a big change. Jack, because you're on, always a good time to go international. Social media today. I believe it was, I'm trying to think of, there was 2 different African countries. And I'm trying to think of who that was that had parades for Trump. And it was all over social media.
What?
Huh?
What was all of that? That lost me?
No, they were having pro-Trump parades through the capitals of I want to say it was Nigeria and maybe Kenya.
Yes, you're right. It was Nigeria. How bizarre is that?
There was...
No. The bizarre one of that is Kenya, considering Obama was born in Kenya, and to have now Kenya parading for Trump. Oh,
Jack.
I guess
and
Barry's
Jeff.
not going back to his homeland anytime soon.
Well,
okay.
2 things. They also did a motorcycle parade through Jerusalem on Sunday. And hate to break it to you, but Obama was born in Hawaii.
Okay. Are you going to write an article about that?
I've done it too many times.
So you truly believe Obama was born in Hawaii?
In order for him to be born somewhere else, because the week he was born, there were notices in the Hawaiian papers. In order for him to have been born somewhere else, then they had to figure it out recently, and then they stole the same Klingon warbird that they did in Star Trek 4, go around the sun to the past to be able to put him in the Hawaiian paper.
Looking at info.
And then when they come around, if it really was true, then they have to show me the warbird. And the cloaking device has to work.
Well, only with the Romulans. So Jack,
what's the Romulan?
Yeah, it was.
So it's Klingon.
No, it wasn't the Klingons. The Romulans had the cloaking devices. So Jack, in Australia, what is Australian media saying generally about the election and about Trump? Is it, boy, Trump is going to get his butt kicked, or Biden may lose?
North Carolina's swing.
With the exception of the 10 network, as I said, which is owned by CBS, they started their headlines. Essentially, all their morning news programs was a giant prayer meeting for Trump to lose. The other networks, 7 and 9, were more cautious, although their tone was more sort of, today will we see change in the United States, blah, 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 that sort of thing. They tried to tone back the hysteria. Sky News has been, basically just trying to cover it as fairly as possible. But the majority of the people that work for Sky are very conservative. Alan Jones, who, when I was doing breakfast radio, I used to ridicule Alan Jones mercilessly, doing impressions of him. And actually, as he's gotten older, I think he's gotten more and more conservative. We have a former political aide who now has a show on Sky News, Peter Credlin. She was a former aide to a previous prime minister and comes from a legal background. So she's very quickly, and I'll give Peter Credlin one thing. If it doesn't matter what side of you are on, if you propose something that is illegal, she is going to call you out for it. And, that's something that we just don't see. But then again, she has that background in Australian and especially Australian constitutional law to fall back on. And I think the only reason why she was never targeted for arrest during the COVID thing is that while broadcasting from Victoria like I do, Sky News is based out of Sydney, and they have access to the higher courts. So if they were to target, if the state government was to target her, there'd be massive legal fights in courts that, small-time independent journalists like myself don't have access to at the moment.
So Australia is pretty much already in the bag for Biden. What do you think, Jack Alexander, who is from Australia, what do you think will be the results, though, if, I don't know, tomorrow, 2 days, 3 days, whenever, if it's determined that Trump has won the election? Will Australia change? Will there be anything occurring that's different?
I just real quick, I don't think it's a done deal in Arizona yet. Trump's closed the gap to 7 in the last 10 minutes, which it depends on what's come in and what hasn't. And that does not even give you numbers for an uptick in conservative voting or Republican voting compared to the last election. So it's leaning, but it hasn't been called yet. And there's a good chance it might not be, actually. There's only a 200,000 vote difference.
Did they give a percentile of votes in yet?
73, but it doesn't matter. It depends on which counties are coming in. So you still have an entire county, Apache counties, completely out. You have some counties, Navajo counties, completely still closed. Gia County hasn't come in yet. Graham County, these are conservative areas.
Maricopa is huge.
Maricopa is a big county. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But my point is, Pima County's got a decent population, 0% reporting so far. So
they still have a ways to go.
Yeah, there's a ways to go in Arizona. I'm not saying that it won't go that way. I'm just saying I don't think it's lost. Again, really quick, and I'm sorry to jump in on everybody, but this is kind of important. Trump has opened in North Carolina with 92% reporting, a 1.1% lead. That's up. He was down to 0.9 at one point, and that's reopened again. 91% in Florida, 51.3% to 47.8%, Trump leading. Georgia, they're not going to call anytime soon, but Trump's got 61% reporting, and he's up 55 to 43 in Georgia. Again, Atlanta hasn't come in, a whole bunch of other ones. So it's not even close to a done deal, but you're definitely starting to see states get closer. Interesting. Ohio, 87% reporting.
Okay.
That's a big number. They jumped up a lot with that. Trump up almost 6 points, 52 to 46. I think that's big
pretty
number.
Shocking.
Michigan, which he was expected to take, he's up almost 12-point lead with 39%. It's still early, but that's still a big lead. And then 50% reporting in Wisconsin. Trump's up by 3%. In Iowa, it's showing Biden, but it's still young there as well. Minnesota, yeah. So, but there's definitely some movement. And again, these other ABC, NBC still have not called Virginia, which is just, I don't know why that's making me crazy tonight, but it is.
It's bet hedging, but isn't it also screaming something to you, Sean?
Yes.
Because for a fact, if it were leaning for Biden in any slightly significant manner,
slammed it.
They would have called.
Or if they honestly had enough belief in their polling and matching from the last election, and unknowing, and I don't know what the increase for registered voters were in Virginia, but they may have a number there too that I'm not seeing, where they're still waiting to see what's going to come in because there's a lot early. So it's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on that's crazy. Ohio, look, if he takes Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Ohio and holds on to Wisconsin and he's going to hold Michigan. But the other one to look at too is we're starting to see more data, not a lot of data, more data out of Pennsylvania with 37% reporting, which again, there's going to be a bigger number today for Trump in Pennsylvania because it's in-person voting versus the mail-in and absentee ballots. But he's got an 11-point lead, 54% to 43% in Pennsylvania. Obviously not even close to calling, but that's still a pretty sizable difference.
Fox on the TV right now is indicating 270 obviously to win. Biden has 133 electoral votes to Trump's 115. This is Fox on the television. Popular vote, 47% Biden, 50.5% Trump.
Yeah, let's look at numbers for the popular vote right now, because this is impressive.
This is,
And again, you're not counting the
hadn't
absentee
seen this.
ballots. You're not counting, in a lot of states yet, you're not counting mail-in ballots, etc. But 42,682,000 for Trump as of right now. Biden is at 40,438,000 right now. That's a big number difference. And it also goes to show you, too,
right now, that's the difference between, allegedly, in 2016, Hillary Clinton versus Trump, 2 million.
yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
DC, the answer to
And
that
I
is
don't know, 2 million
California.
to me is just a huge number in the sense of, even if it does not hold, right? Even if those numbers come away, with the exception of California, you have most of the populated areas of this country already reporting. So that means this whole idea of like, oh, well, you know, it's the idiot flyover states that the Democrats hate until they need them. And the low population states, it's not just that. The amount of people that I think are turning out to vote for Trump, even in blue states, but their vote counts, like California, it counts towards the popular vote. It doesn't count towards the Electoral College, but it shows you that there is an uptick of Trump support, I think, compared to last year so far.
Jeff, any thoughts on that?
Epic Times just called Florida for Trump, but
Really?
What?
but the Epic Times is also a conservative.
Yes, it is.
vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah, but yes, they absolutely are. But when you're looking at 91% and there's a 4-point lead, I think any new voters are going to be Trump voters. I don't think you're going to have a large swath of new voters or that are going to be and again, Florida had a lot of mail-in ballots.
I'm looking. It's funny you should mention that, Jeff. I'm looking at the
Yeah, I
Epic
also
Times.
think that
And the Epic Times,
on
like
the
you
other
said,
hand, I think
called Florida, and they called it 5,600,000 for Trump, 5,200,000 for Biden. Squeaker.
but also you should know that they're always very skittish with Florida after 2000.
Yep.
But you look at, I mean, what's really left out there right now in Florida is Madison County, which is 90% in, Trump up by 2,000 votes, 19%. Taylor County, Trump's leading, very red, 85%. Those are two up in the panhandle, if you will. Osceola County is Biden, but that's at 48% so far in. And that's a purplish county. It's not always going to go one or the other, but it most likely will go Dem. Collier County's hasn't been called yet, but Trump's up by almost 50,000 votes at 98%. So they're still waiting, I think. Palm Beach County, I think, is going to be probably the last one that once they certify or at least hit that number. Because in Miami-Dade, they're at 97%, and Biden's up by 80,000 votes. But at 97%, you look at, 1.1 million, so 3% of that. So they're almost done.
Fox says Trump wins Utah, Biden takes New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that.
Yeah, neither am I.
New Hampshire could have went. And I mean, you look at it right now, there's only a 30,000 point vote difference, which in New Hampshire, that's a huge number. But I'll tell you right now, it's 30,000 mass holes that moved up there. So I can say it, I'm a mass hole.
Wait. I know what those are.
Yeah. That's what ruined New Hampshire, Vermont. Well, Vermont was always a little crazy. Vermont, I don't know if it was the altitude. I don't know if it's all that fresh milk. They were always a little nuts. Maine and New Hampshire, once the taxes got out of control in the 90s in Massachusetts, and everybody started to go up because you could get to Maine in 45 minutes. Maine and New Hampshire commutable to Boston. Especially as they lengthened rail out there on the commuter rail. So what did they do? They do what good locusts do. They show up and devour their new host and ruin it.
Right.
And then go, well, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. I don't understand why the taxes are going up.
The popular vote is going to be one that's really interesting to me. I want to see what is influxed in the popular vote, because I'll tell you right now, they just updated it, and Trump's up 2.5 million on the popular vote. And it's still super early, I know that, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't know if he led the popular vote at all in 2016.
Well, now Fox is indicating potentially 3 million ahead in the popular vote.
Yeah, it's about that. It's 2.8 is,
and they're
quick
saying
math.
too early to call Arizona, Florida, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin.
Texas, and this is the thing, and Jeff, I think you keep hitting the nail on the head with this. All those are states that they royally dicked last time, and they're just staying away from it. You know, Texas is a huge state to get information in, and they're at 73%. Trump's up by 4.5 points. I think any other election, they would have called this for him already.
I don't think so.
NBC News has actually called Texas for Trump.
Really?
Yeah.
NBC, now.
I'm looking at that right now. I'm looking at it right now. Yep, they're saying, oh, wait, my bad. I was on the Senate results.
Oh, okay.
Stand by. Cornering one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got NBC up in front of me, along with Fox, and yeah.
All right, calm down, you bastards. I made a mistake. Jesus. I just screwed up a little bit.
Senate control is still a toss-up. It's still 43 Dems and 41 GOP.
Jesus.
The Dems are expected to win the House, 87 Dems, 119 with the GOP. Jeff, do the Democrats keep the House?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff, do the Democrats take the Senate?
No.
Not sure. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But if Trump wins, it's even harder for them to take the Senate.
Yeah, that's one more vote they would need.
As far as Texas goes, one thing that concerns me, not this year, but 4 years from now, it's going to be a real swing state. And I think that it might go blue. Because all the people getting sick and tired of California are moving to Western Texas.
Yeah, but here's the thing, too. And you had the first wave of Californians to Texas, the ones they're dealing with now, were the business owners and the tech nerds and all the other stuff. The people who
all the ones that Perry solicited come over to Texas.
The people who are leaving California now and heading to Texas, and there's a lot of them, I follow a couple of websites, are more the blue collar. California got so crazy, but I was holding on for hope and seeing if maybe something good would ever come out of it. So you're starting to get the conservatives that are giving up on California, because the one thing I've noticed about California conservatives, as much as this state is horrible for conservatism, they hang on. I'm sitting across from one.
Well, I don't have the money anymore for one.
But still.
Horrible for conservatism? I mean, you mean liberals like streets where people take craps in the middle of the sidewalk?
It makes them feel better.
It's amazing how we have to pick up after our dogs, but not our friends.
Well, look, it's a human right to be able to shat in the street.
Yeah, isn't it ever? Let me get back to Jack Alexander. Jack, I'd asked you the question before. Should Trump win, will this have any effect whatsoever on Australians? Will it tend to build up any kind of a wave to move slightly more conservative, or will it be absolutely immaterial?
They'll be jealous of us more.
Well, that too.
Well, we'll be more jealous. But look, I don't think it will make that much of a difference to the everyday Australian on the street. Business, to some extent, our agricultural industry, somewhat, because a lot of our agriculture does go to the United States, and so that will certainly build strong relationships there. I don't see that happening with Biden. To the average person who lives in the city, no, this will all be forgotten by the time the first of the cricket test matches starts in a couple of weeks.
Well, that stuff is important. I do have. Can I break you up for a minute? Just because I just got news coming across that Georgia and Pennsylvania, I knew Pennsylvania would not count anything tonight. Georgia has stopped counting for the evening. Too close to call. At this point, 62% in, Trump up by 8 points in Georgia. I am putting this out there right now. This, and Jeff and Jack and BZ, you can all, maybe I'm wrong. This is a specific political move to build the anger of certain groups who may be upset about things tonight.
Okay, so this is like a chess match.
I think so.
Is this like a chess match when when one person perceives that the opponent may have something on them, one of the two chess players can call a halt to the match overnight and then go back? So this is something like that, where Georgia is saying something similar to, well, it's uncomfortably close.
Yes.
So, tell you what, let's just ignore stuff for right now, and we'll come back to it tomorrow.
Well, and you think about the message that sends, right? Like, oh, well, if you guys are already upset and angry and waiting for us to say that Trump won Georgia before you start breaking windows, now you get to let that build even longer. And, with the all eyes on Pennsylvania as far as like the overnight or the continuing voting and everything, it's a very easy move for them. So it's an interesting play, if you will.
Okay, and what was the other state you mentioned?
I didn't.
George,
Okay.
I mean, BC, I read that it was just one county that stopped counting.
Okay. And like I said, I absolutely could have, that information could 100% true.
I could be wrong, but it was Fulton County because they had this giant water main break there or something like that.
Huh, okay.
But I could be wrong. I'll Google.
Okay. I just find it interesting. The Senate still, 43 Dems, 41 GOP, 89 Dems, 123 for the GOP. That's pretty much what Fox News is saying also at this point.
At this point, in the Senate, the Dems are up one from where they were, and in the House, they're up one from where they were.
Okay. This is it proves the disparity of news. Sean and I have been looking at the television. The sound is off, but we've been looking to compare it to the other input that we're getting. I'm on foxnews.com again. 43 Senate. This is the Senate. 43 Dems, 39 Republicans. House, and I just now refreshed Fox.com. House balance of power, 89 Dems, 123 Republicans. So,
Excuse me.
all of the input that we may think that we're relying upon, even in its immediacy, we're discovering that there can be a fairly significant disparity between information coming in.
Yeah, but the states with a lot of Democrats, like California, for example, haven't been counted yet. And those are expected to hold. So when they say that they project the Dems will keep the House, what they're saying is that where the Republicans had to gain seats, they didn't.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's correct. That's a good way of looking at it. Okay. Jeez. Here's another poll that I'm looking at. 270towin.com. 270towin.com. Now they are indicating on their interactive map in the House, Democrats, 232, 182 Republicans. So there is a fairly significant disparity going on between just the information that anybody can get on the internet. And you can stay on one site and perch as long as you want. Okay, here's New York Times. Looking at New York Times, Senate election results. 43 Dems, 41 Republicans. So If Jeff Dunitz, which is the biggest contested state, do you think, for Republicans? Would it
there are plenty.
Would it be, for example, we can't yet call Arizona.
Right. You can't call Arizona. You can't call Iowa. Although Joni Ernst has picked up a lot in the last couple of days. So, Georgia has 2 seats that are up.
Mm-hmm.
So, so those are four seats right there.
Does New York have anything open?
Nah. We got, in 2 years, we have Little Chucky.
Okay, so this is your off. Okay, I got it. All right.
Your Little Chucky. Last time we had, what's her name? Gillibrand.
Oh, was she there in New York?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Jack, I know it's costing you an arm and a leg. Is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, it's not costing me. I got an excess of minutes and stuff, so I'm using them. It's not costing me anything.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm looking at Arizona at the moment. I don't think that the president will get Apache County, mostly from personal knowledge of the area. When I looked at buying real estate in the U.S.,
okay,
I was actually looking at land in Apache County. And a lot of leftists have moved into Apache County, even though they haven't posted any results at the moment. I think that will go to Biden. So, I don't know. I always thought that the president was going to scrape in Arizona. Just looking at it at the moment, I'm not so sure now. But going back to Texas, as I consider myself an adopted Texan, a lot of the west of the state has turned red quite substantially in the 3 poll results that I'm looking at. And with the exception of a couple of counties down along the border, which, my guess is they've probably got a large illegal population that are being allowed to vote. But, things like Willacy County, Starr County, Jim Hogg County, Webb, Presidio, Culberson. Most of the state is leaning heavily towards the president. Yes, one area that I am surprised is around Dallas. Dallas County, hardcore for Biden.
Right.
But the surrounding counties, which make up the greater DFW Metroplex, they are all leaning quite substantially towards the president. Down towards Austin and so on. Travis, Williamson, and Hayes counties. They're all leaning towards the scratch and sniff machine, as with the Harris and Fort Bend counties around Houston. But I look at Clay County where I've got property. It was 88% for the president. Wichita County, where Wichita Falls is next door, they haven't called it yet, but it's still 71 cents to the president. Archer County, just to the south, 89%. Jack County, just south of Clay County, 90.4%. Then you get over to where Amarillo and Lubbock and that is it's all serious. If a lot of Californians have moved there, I think they may have changed their politics.
Which is an interesting observation. Also, there is this, and again, I've mentioned a couple of times so far tonight, what turns out to be a huge disparity between Fox on TV and Fox.com. Now, and I just watched this grow in front of my eyes, FoxNews.com on the internet just ticked up Joe Biden 207 electors to Donald Trump's 119 electors.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So, again,
They
who's...
just called Washington, Oregon, California, and Idaho. Okay, Idaho went for Trump. The other three went to Biden, as expected.
Right,
Okay.
because anything on the
So
left
that's what-
coast, you know how that's going to run.
Florida just called Trump.
Ah, Sean
Okay.
says Florida called Trump.
Well, then we have now it's 207, 148.
Yes, I just saw that. It just updated. Yes, you must be watching the same thing I am.
No, I have my interactive map that I'm keeping record of.
No, I have my interactive map that I'm keeping my record of.
Okay, we both do.
We both do.
We all do.
Yes, we all do here. And now Fox News on the TV says Senate, 44 Dems, 40 Republicans.
Doesn't matter.
So,
Only one seat flipped. That's how you got to look at it, because it's the order in which they're calling things.
okay.
Right now, only one flipped. It's got to keep that number. If Trump wins below 4, if Biden wins below 3 or less.
Okay. And which flipped?
Oh God, what's it? Cory Gardner.
Montana is flipped. It was blue earlier. It's now, well, pink. But, I mean, that's only 3 electoral college votes, though.
No, I'm talking about Senate.
Yeah, Senate
Oh,
seats.
okay.
Very, very interesting. So, just overall, at the way, not what you guys were thinking before, but according to the information that you have now and kind of the indicators that you're seeing, Jeff, first, do you see this going any particular direction for Trump or Biden?
No, it's exactly how I thought it would break so far.
Okay, just about
Okay.
50-50 almost?
Well, when I laid out how I thought the states would do, okay, so far everything that I thought would go to Trump went to Trump. Everything that I thought would go to Biden went to Biden. Okay.
Okay.
So it's heading to right where I thought it would be. Okay. The unknown.
And
The unknowns are Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Pennsylvania, we're not going to know until Friday. Okay. If Trump wins one of those, okay, and everything else that I think he's going to win, like Texas, he's got it.
Okay, and the newest information that I have, and also Sergeant Booker has in chat, is that Hickenlooper won the Colorado Senate race.
That's right. That's the one that flipped.
And
Well,
and I have to tell you guys this because I'm sure you'll get a giggle out of this. I did. Sergeant Booker in chat says, I just want to know, this is my priority. I want to know, what color are we wearing tomorrow? Blue or gray? It's my first Civil War.
I don't know.
actually, I have a news update for us for our good friend at SHR Media. They've called the mayoral race in Baltimore. Sadly, Shannon Wright has been defeated. Brandon Scott is the mayor.
Okay.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
As far as what color to wear, you guys let me know because I'm going to be working all night. I think I'm going to sleep late.
Yeah.
You'll get a late start.
You know, but if Trump wins, I'm going to have I have a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. I want to have a couple of shots off of.
Hey, look, we all have to remember, nobody, since Florida's been in play and we've tracked it, nobody's won without Florida.
Yeah, except nobody's won without Ohio either.
Right. And I'll tell you right now, Ohio is 91% in. Trump is up by 7 points. That's pretty decent. I'm actually starting to feel a little bit better about Ohio. Look, and I thought about this too, politically, Georgia, because Trump could have, if Trump hits Nevada, he could have hit 270 tonight with Georgia, right? If he takes Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, then obviously
and
Texas and Texas.
Right.
But if he does it, he could have, because you throw in Alaska. Alaska's going to go Trump. And I think that put him at like 274, 275. Georgia, this is a very, very strategic play by the powers that be in Georgia to keep him from being able to claim tonight.
And North Carolina.
Yeah, I think it's all about politics. You're exactly right.
I think they...
I don't...
What, Jeff? You don't think that they're playing politics here?
Well, I mean, like we discussed last year, and 4 years ago, Georgia wasn't called until after midnight.
Right.
It's no different.
We'll see.
I'm looking at the mayor race because SHR's very own Shannon Wright of the Right Way. Mm-hmm. She was running for mayor of Baltimore. So here are the numbers from the city of Baltimore mayoral race. Brandon Scott did, in fact, won. He got 38,237 votes. That's 65%. In second was Bob Wallace, 14,599, 24% of the vote. GOP was Shannon Wright. She got 4,973, which is 8.47% of the vote. And David Harding got 1.56% of the vote. So Baltimore's just not ready to go with GOP. They're still going to insist on corruption and crap in Baltimore, where they've got buildings that are burned out and bombed out that look like, the middle of downtown London in 1942 from the 1968 riots. Baltimore, if that's what you want, you're going to get more of the same. Good damned luck to you. People have said for many years, you get what you deserve. There is no update on the electors. It's still 207 Biden, Donald Trump 148. The Senate is pretty much neck and neck, 44-41. Still, FoxNews.com shows in the House 97 Democrats, 131 Republicans.
Because the big Democrat states haven't come in yet.
Sure they have. California's in.
Yeah.
Not for House.
Not for the House.
Okay. Washington, Oregon, California, not for House. Okay. Colorado, not for House yet. So that's why.
Well, in California, but this brings me back to the Virginia thing. California gets called with literally 0.0%, which I expected it to. We know it's California, right? In Virginia, Virginia got called, but other outlets are calling, called California the same time, still haven't called Virginia. Virginia is weird right now. There's something going on in Virginia that nobody's talking about.
And I've been looking at Fox News up here and Fox News on foxnews.com, and I have not seen a reference made on either one to Virginia in some time.
It's just really weird.
It is. It's atypical. Yeah. Because you would have expected by now someone somewhere would have said, we have Virginia, and it has fallen.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I still think it's going to go to Biden. I don't think that we're going to flip it or anything like that, but it's just really strange. And Trump still has almost a 6-point lead over Biden at 60% of the vote. Actually, Yeah.
But you're saying it's not going to continue. The Democrats will come from behind and overtake.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking. It's really something's really weird because if you look at like Fox does the color lean, so if it starts to lean red, they change the color to red, and it's not accurate. I know it's not accurate. Look, Fairfax County, which is one of the most populated ones, right on the border, right in there, is at 99% reporting. So that's a really populated one. Prince William's 100% in. That's really populated. Loudoun's 100%. Yep, Loudoun's 100%. There's a lot of other little counties that are not that are close, but not all the way in. And it's really strange to me. And a lot of the ones that are still haven't been called, the specific counties, with the exception of 3 or 4 really tiny counties, and Fairfax is the only one left that's a larger county. All of them are leaning, or at least leading red at this point. So I'm trying to see where the smoking gun is, so to speak. I'm trying to see which one hasn't been called yet. And it could very well be Fairfax County, because that's obviously right up in there.
And Fairfax is very liberal.
Yeah, but it's 99% in.
Okay.
And so it's not like you're going to get another 50,000 votes in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm really... I wonder if somebody dicked up Virginia.
You mean they're having actual technical problems?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, Fox News right now on TV just called Florida for Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody's brought that in now. Finally, everyone's got that caught
finally
up.
Just said it.
Virginia's a weird... something is going... There's something that people are watching in Virginia that isn't sitting right with them, and they're not calling it for a reason.
I'm going to talk about the California propositions right now, and the reason that I'm going to do that, even though it's limited to California, always spell it with a K, is because these things can be soon coming to a state or a theater near you. And I find this provides a little insight. Now, we have something called Proposition 15, which was going to raise commercial and industrial property taxes, allegedly producing billions of dollars in new revenue for schools and community colleges. That's how it was packaged. That's how it was sold. And billions of dollars for county and local governments. That's how leftists sold Proposition 15. So far, Proposition 15 results in California with a little over 500,000 votes in no, 53%, yes, 46%. So it's so far going no, which is a good thing, because we also have Prop 13, which kept property taxes frozen back in 1976 and has not changed until now. Proposition 15 was an attempt to get the nose in the camel's tent in order to raise property taxes first on commercial property, then on residential property. So far, that seems to be failing. Then we went to Proposition 16. This would have rolled back the law. We had a law back in 1996 in California, always spelled it with a K, that banned affirmative action. Prop 16 is this new racist proposition that was going to overrule and overturn banning affirmative action in 1986. It would now then allow the state to consider race and gender in college admissions and in hiring for public contracting, public hiring, government, that kind of a thing. Right now, that's failing even worse. It's failing 59% to 40%. I find that very interesting, too. Then we had Prop 18 in California, always spell it with a K. It would allow 17-year-olds to vote in primary and special elections if they turn 18 in time for the next general. So Prop 18 is likewise failing, 58.9% to 41%. That's kind of interesting.
Florida's District 27, just totally random. I know. I'm just trying to read through.
Okay.
Florida's had two Democrats. Miami's unseated two Democrats in their congressional district, but elected a socialist mayor. Like that makes no sense to me. I don't get it.
If there's anything, Jeff, if there's anything that's true, wouldn't it be this? What we've proven is that leftist influence and conservative influence can be so strange and so spotty in 2020.
It's always spotty. Do you remember what happened to the gay marriage thing in California?
Yes, it passed.
But first it failed.
No. Yeah, first it failed. Because even I know that one.
It failed because the African American vote out in bigger numbers, and they were fully Christian African Americans, and they voted against it. It was overturned because of the courts. Hello?
Okay.
That's what happened.
All right. I've just been schooled on California history by a guy from New York. Thank you, Jeff.
And from Australia.
Did you school me, Jeff? Or Jack from Australia? Thank you for doing that because I had remembered it incorrectly. So thank you very much for that. I can't find anything.
Well, because that was a great irony. It was Obama's fault.
I can't find anything else. Okay, so far, all right, for the people that are listening in California, I do have some other information coming in on the propositions. Now, Proposition 14, which was the first on the proposition list, borrowing for stem cell research, it's just about neck and neck. Yes, 50%, no, 49%. 15, commercial property taxes, I went to that. It's going mostly no at 54%. 16, allowing affirmative action. That is going down no at 59, almost 60%. Proposition 17, which would allow, now this is interesting. Proposition 17, which would allow parolees to vote, is at 55% yes, 44% no. Proposition 18, which would allow some 17-year-olds to vote, no, 59%. That's right. No, 59%, yes, 40%. Just seems so strange to me, that bizarre little dichotomy. Prop 19, add and subtract property tax breaks. It's going no at 48%, yes at 51%. Proposition 20, which was one of the only two that I voted yes on, where you get tougher on parole and property crimes. Yes is at 39%. No is at 60.2%. So California is continuing to insist that you get raped, pillaged, and plundered if you're a citizen in the state of California.
Yeah.
How insane is that? Rent control. Prop 21. No, 63%. Yes, 35%. Prop 22. Prop 22 is the other one I voted yes for. That eliminates the removal of, if you have somebody from Uber, you have to provide them with retirement benefits, that kind of thing. People just want to be...
They can no longer be a contractor.
Yeah, they can no longer be a contractor. Special work rules for the gig economy. Now, that is passing. I voted yes. It's passing 62% to 37%. There was another Prop 23, kidney dialysis clinic rule change, which was a big, massively supported by SEIU, and anything that is supported by SEIU, I vote no on.
Fox is calling Arizona for Joe Biden.
And the Senate seat. for Mark Kelly.
But here's an interesting one. Daniel Gade out in Virginia is 60% of the vote. He's up by 2 points on the incumbent Mark Warner. And I'm not 100% sure, but I thought that was supposed to be a done deal for Warner. I thought they were pretty sure he was going to get right in. Interesting. Very interesting.
It's a strange night.
It is a weird night.
So kidney dialysis in California, no, 66% to 33%. 24, new consumer privacy rules. It was a claptrap of crap. It's losing 43 to 56%. And Prop 25, yes or no on cash bail. People are saying no at 56% to 43%. So it's just, you can't call all this stuff.
No, but I do know that Martha Mcsally will be leaving the Senate. And the Republicans are up. The Republicans are down 2 seats.
Down 2 seats?
in the Senate.
On the net, but not, they're not right.
Well, but that's how you because you're not going to get the results yet.
No. I'm just saying that they're not under 2 seats as far as the voting goes, but as far as on the night, they're down 2 net.
That's right.
Okay. Let's look really quick. Texas right now at 75%. Trump's up by 4 points. Looks like almost 1 million votes up. I'm still looking at Georgia, just because Trump's got a 10-point lead with 70% in. Wake County just came in finally for North Carolina. And I know that was one of the ones that a couple people were watching and waiting for. Trump's up almost 2 points in North Carolina, 1.5 with 94% in. Let's see. Going through Ohio, hasn't been called yet. Ohio, 94% in. Trump is up by almost 8 points.
8 points in Ohio.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
We're going to go to Michigan next. 47%. They're real slow in Michigan. Trump is up by almost 9 points. There's so much more to do there as far as counting. You look at Wisconsin, 62% in. Trump is up by 5.5 points in Wisconsin. By the way, he won Kenosha almost 2-1, it looked like in my quick glance. Iowa, Trump is actually starting to pull away a little bit, 1.5, 75% in. Obviously, Texas is Texas. Montana, Trump's 33% in, 4-point lead there. Nevada hasn't reported a damn thing yet. Nobody in Nevada has reported anything, so that means the Secretary
because
of State.
They're all in the casinos getting drunk.
I don't blame them. So it's really interesting right now how all of that is going. And like I said, you start doing the math. If everything that's leaning Trump right now, you throw out Minnesota, you throw out New Mexico, that's 5, and you throw out Hawaii. If everything that's leaning Trump right now comes in, it's handedly. And without Pennsylvania, it's close, but he still wins. Pennsylvania's, I know it's going to be a long time before we get the results. We're looking at Friday?
Friday, yeah.
But in the early going, 50% reported, and this is in-person voting in Pennsylvania was expected to be bigger for Trump than the mail ballots, which will come after. But he's up by 6%, with 50% of the believed voting, almost 500,000 votes. Yeah, he's up exactly 6% now. So that's interesting. I still didn't think it was going to be that much separation at any point, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I wonder if Nevada is going to dump everything. Well, what they'll probably do is once Vegas gets counted, I bet you the Secretary of State there will dump it and throw out the numbers.
I wouldn't count on Nevada flipping.
Well, and you know what? But I've talked to a lot of people, and I got to understand, I worked in the casino industry, so I have some contacts in the casino industry.
Right.
A lot of people in that state, COVID alone has destroyed them. You're talking about a dealer who's making $110,000 a year, and a lot of that is in tip money.
Sure.
And the federal unemployment that went away 6 months ago ain't cutting the bacon. And a lot of them are angry about it, and there's a lot to be said. So interesting.
Well,
Yeah, a friend of mine is a real estate agent in Las Vegas, and he's been selling, obviously, a lot of real estate to people escaping California of late, and a lot of people came. He said there's a lot of anger amongst the people that he sold houses to over the last couple of years. They came to Nevada. They were, because of all the opportunity and so on. And the general consensus is, if we wanted to live under this sort of, stupid lockdowns and stuff with COVID, we could have stayed in California. There is a lot of anger and resentment towards Governor Sisolak, which I think will carry over in protest votes in favor of Trump from Nevada.
I don't know. My wife said to me this afternoon, my wife is in real estate, and she told me that everyone she spoke to voted for Trump in New York. She goes, "You think Trump has a chance of winning New York?" I said, "Do you think I have a chance of waking up with a full head of hair?"
Yeah, but you know what? And I was talking about this with a couple of friends earlier this week. Just because they don't win the state, what it does is it puts a lot of state officials on notice. If you have a way better turnout than expected, i.e. New York, right? If you had told me that even 4 years ago that Trump was going to get over 2 million votes in New York, I would have told you to go pound sand. To carry 31%, almost 1 million votes in Massachusetts, I would have told you to go pound sand. So even though he doesn't take the state, the message that gets sent is, y'all better back off that left line a little bit. You don't get stuff like that in California, obviously, because
or is the reaction, we better shove everything through fast?
Well, but that's the trade-off, right? Is will you get panic shit, and you might, but it's a possibility.
I'm not a big fan of moral victories.
It's not, but it's not necessarily a moral victory as much as it is putting people on notice that, hey, you know what? You may not win the next city council in this district for once. That has constantly gone. When you start looking at you need to win local events, which is a major part of changing the atmosphere within a state. It lays groundwork for it, and it starts letting you know where you can and you can't play.
They just called New Mexico for Biden, which is expected.
Yeah, that was expected. I wasn't sweating that. Arizona was a toss-up, but I wasn't sweating Arizona.
Yeah, but the thing about Arizona that sucks is it usually goes Republican.
It usually does go Republican, and 73% in, the vote difference is 150,000. Everyone forgets with Arizona that there's not a high population.
Right.
So, that could flip-flop with a matter of 100,000 votes, whereas in New York City, you wouldn't even notice the change. We're starting to look at Montana. We need those states to come in. Iowa, Trump's up almost 2.77%, and they're probably going to call that soon.
You need Texas, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and North Carolina, and it's over.
Well, so here we are. Michigan is at just under 50%. Trump's up by 8 points.
Matter.
No, I know. I'm just telling you where it stands. It's my job to report it, right?
Yeah, but
it doesn't matter as to what the end result is, but when you're trying to move a show along during an election, you got to kind of throw out some information.
Well, yeah.
51%
and
Texas.
with that, Ohio also.
Yes.
51% Texas for Trump and 46% Biden so far. 85% of voters in at this point. And still, I'm looking at New York Times. Jeff, are you looking at NewYorkTimes.com? Is that one of the ones you're looking at?
No, why?
It's indicating 209 electoral, Biden 118 for Donald Trump. And
Okay.
that's not what I'm seeing on either Epoch Times or Fox. Epoch Times 162 Trump, and on Fox 148, still 207, 148 for Biden. Cornyn gets a check mark in Texas, beating Hagar. That was just officially called. In Mississippi, Hyde Smith got 57% Republican, the incumbent, over Espy at 40%. That was just called. So anything is New York, Jeff, simply like California, it's foregone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been called. I mean, it's way foregone.
Okay. All righty. It still looks, now Fox on the TV says, Senate, 45-44, 45 Dems, 44 Republicans. Net gain 1 for the Democrats. Democrats need 4.
Well, if it's net gain 1, it's cool. I thought it was 2, but I could be wrong.
So Arizona just got a big check mark next to it. Texas, 51% Trump, 46% Biden.
I have it. Biden has 223. Trump has 148.
Okay.
But there's a lot more to come.
There is much more to come. And Jack, like I say, any more observations, sir?
Yeah, I never thought I'd be saying that NBC News was going to be the more conservative when it came with its estimates to Fox. They are the ones that are, certainly with the Electoral College votes, they've only got Biden at 192 instead of the 223 that Fox has. I think Fox is just calling them willy-nilly. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Which is really funny because that's the opposite of what it was doing last time in 2016. They were playing it really, really close to the vest last time in 2016.
NBC still hasn't called Arizona yet.
Yeah, Trump did that. Biden wins Arizona.
Yeah. But look, I got a question for you guys, because the system, the Electoral College system here, is very alien to me, having grown up with a different system. But as an outsider looking in on this, I see in all of these states that the cities have an inordinate amount of power in the way the electoral colleges are called, and it seems to completely disregard, the will of the majority of the states. Would it be better if every county had an electoral college vote? Because I look at it from the point of view of Texas, where the issues in Clay County are very different to that of, say, Denton County or Dallas and what have you, or even Wichita County, which is just 20 miles up the road.
Yeah, but it would be there are a couple of thousand counties in the country. What it is the way the founders picked it is that you got to understand something. The name of the country is the United States, because each state was own separate kind of country. And that's why it's done by state.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. But, I keep seeing, a lot of these states where almost the entire state is red when you look at the counties. But, where that one capital city is,
but that's just land.
Left leaning.
Yeah, but that's just land, not people. Hello?
Well,
anyway, as I said, this is from an outsider's point of view, looking into a system that
I'm
is
hearing
alien.
a beep beep.
no, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. No, but really it's the difference between land or people. The number of people, it doesn't matter where they live, as long as they live in the state.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing that changed recently is that it became, in a number of states, at least 12, if I'm not mistaken, a winner-take-all kind of thing.
That I feel is wrong.
I think
it's always been a winner-take-all.
I think I've got another phone call coming in.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
That's why I hear the beep beep. I thought like it was the my voice is from my head.
No.
Again.
No. Well, it's a telephone call in your head. And this hasn't changed very much. 223 to 148 still. Popular vote 49% to 48%. 49% for Biden, 48% for Trump. 56 million for Biden, 54 million for Trump. So that's turned by about 2 million. 1.5.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's
Well-
it's the electoral votes. That's Hillary won the population, the overall count last time.
Yeah, by about 2 mil. So I was just
And-
hoping for a popular. I would like to have seen, my druthers would be electoral, don't care how much as long as he wins. And the other aspect of that is I'd like to see the popular go to Trump, because I'm just built that way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it would certainly straighten out some of the objections, but for the future of the country, I'm just talking 270.
Yeah.
That's really all I'm worried about. The rest of it is window dressing.
That's true.
It's going to be late. I'm telling you.
Well, and then that's the deal. It's 11:42 where you are on the East Coast, and it's tomorrow where you are, Jack. So, Jack, because it's tomorrow, tell me who wins.
If that only worked with lottery numbers, yeah. Look, I thought
if it only worked with lottery numbers.
Yeah. Look, I thought that Donald Trump was going to comfortably get 300 electoral college votes. I don't know. I think it's going to be closer than I thought now.
You never know. It's just too many ifs so far. You might get 300.
Well,
but I don't. But once he gets 270, I'm done for the night.
Well, then here's the question, Jeff Dunitz. Will we get to 270 tonight?
I don't know.
Sean seems to think not tonight. It just won't go there tonight.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, like I said, if you get Texas in, if they decide Ohio, you get Wisconsin, Georgia, well, not Georgia, North Carolina, and Iowa. Alaska's not for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it can be done, but it won't be done until like 3 o'clock in the morning, just like last time. If it's done.
And finally, Nevada has started reporting, with Trump ahead by more than 50 points.
If I can be a pessimist, Nevada's going to stay where it is. I'm not. It'll be a very surprising result if Nevada goes Trump.
Wyoming 70% Trump.
Wyoming's already been called. Wyoming's Trump.
Illinois 52%.
Whoa! They just called Ohio.
Whoa! I didn't see that. Where? What are you looking at?
I just stood up and I just saw Fox call Ohio.
Wow, okay. I'm looking at that right now. And now, are you looking at Fox.com, internet?
I'm looking at Fox News, and Fox Internet trails Fox on television by a couple of minutes when it comes to the state things.
Okay. Now,
but Trump, no Republicans ever won without winning Ohio.
Right now it says Trump 53%, and I don't see on Fox News that they've called Ohio yet.
On the TV they have.
Have they really? Okay, I missed it then.
I promise.
Okay. I am not doubting you. I am not doubting you. It looks like 53.3% Trump and 45.2% Biden. Is that what you're seeing?
No, I just see the check mark. After that, I don't care.
Okay. All right. Well, good point. Good damn point. 94.
Yeah. My Fox News map has just changed to give Ohio.
Okay.
To Trump.
All righty. My son just graduated in June at being a summa cum laude in math. I leave the numbers up to him. As soon as I see the check mark, it's ours.
This is very interesting. This is a good analogy. Sergeant Booker on SHRmedia.com chat says, best explanation for why the Electoral College works is this. In 1960, the Pirates beat the Yankees in the World Series 4-3. The Yankees outscored the Pirates 55-27. Who won the most games or the most runs?
That's right.
Okay, and now it's official. God, it makes me wonder if this TV's like a minute behind you guys. Now I finally see a check mark for Trump in Ohio. Good Lord.
And so what we need is Bill Mazeroski to hit a home run for Trump. Using that analogy.
Okay, Florida, Ohio, what has to be next, do you think? Which state must be next, Jeff?
Texas, and then you got to go north.
Okay.
Okay. BC, I got to go.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. But before midnight, and I have to go to the other place, and I got to get something to eat in between,
Yeah, I haven't had anything either since I've been here doing this since 5 o'clock. Okay.
It's like I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. It's going to be a late night.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I don't know if I'm
sleeping late tomorrow.
I don't know if I'm going to stay up for it all, but that's just me. Hey, say hi to Ken for me because
that's why you have been in another time zone.
I didn't hear that. What?
Say hi to Ken for me because I know that's where you're going, and I won't be able to do it because I still can't get my stuff to work.
Okay.
So thanks for being here, Jeff. Greatly appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
All right.
Take care, man.
Take care, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jeff Dunitz. And then there was Jack. I think What I may end up doing, because Sean is out doing something else, unless something radical occurs before 9 o'clock Western or Pacific, which would be midnight Eastern, right around midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific, I think I'm going to wrap it up, because I think, as indicated, we're not going to get to 270 before that amount of time. And I still haven't had dinner. Jack, what time is it? It's 11:49 on the East Coast. It's 9:49 Pacific. So what time is it there in Australia for you?
It is coming up to 4:49 here.
Okay.
Wednesday afternoon.
Okay. So it's almost time for dinner. At least for you.
Oh, still a few hours away, but yeah.
So, folks, absent something amazing happening, I have a couple of audio cuts that I'd like to play, and I think at 9 o'clock we're going to wrap this up for tonight. I may come back tomorrow, depending on any number of factors, and have another show. And then, honestly, between tomorrow and Thursday, I have no damned idea what's going to be happening or what my topics are going to be or who's going to be here, because everything is so much up in the air at this point. So, Jack, I got to say thank you.
I'll drop out at this point of time and let you play those. Always a pleasure, BZ.
Well, thank you, sir. And if I come on tomorrow night, I may send you a message and see if you'd like to weigh in on whatever the hell happened in the meantime, in the interim.
I will be happy to do so.
All righty.
I'll catch you then.
All righty. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate your time here tonight, sir. Okay. At this point, as I've said, good wins or evil wins. And there are any number of issues at point right now in the election. It's not the blue wave. It's not the blue wipeout that anyone was thinking. Nor has it been a red wave or a wipeout, as anybody else was saying. But what I think the stakes are this. This was a campaign ad that was banned by Facebook, and I think it's worth listening to.
America is a land of heroes, a place where greatness is born, where destinies are forged, and where legends come to life. This is the home of Thomas Edison and Teddy Roosevelt, of many great generals, including Washington, Pershing, Patton, and MacArthur. This is the home of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, the Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, and so many more. This is the country where children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo. The American nation was carved out of the vast frontier by the toughest, strongest, fiercest, and most determined men and women ever to walk on the face of the earth. Our ancestors braved the unknown, tamed the wilderness, settled the Wild West, lifted millions from poverty, disease, and hunger, vanquished tyranny and fascism, ushered the world to new heights of science and medicine, laid down the railroads, dug out the canals, raised up the skyscrapers. Our ancestors built the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history, and we are making it greater than ever before. This is our glorious and magnificent inheritance. We are Americans. We are pioneers. We are the pathfinders. We settled the new world. We built the modern world. And we changed history forever by embracing the eternal truth that everyone is made equal by the hand of Almighty God. America is the place where anything can happen. America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our most thrilling stories are not yet told. Our grandest journeys are not yet made. The American age, the American epic, the American adventure has only just begun. Our spirit is still young. The sun is still rising. God's grace is still shining. And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come.
And with everything that was ever arrayed against President Trump, he still, to this point, is triumphing. Jeff Dunitz wrote a really good article earlier today, and he's at lidblog.com. And I think it gets down to this. And I was not a person to proselytize. Oh, stop. Now we have Biden 223, Trump 204. So Trump has moved up in electors, and it's getting closer to Biden. That just came in, so I took a peek at that. The Lid wrote, Jeff Dunitz wrote today, it is a great deal about religion. People of faith, get out and vote for Trump. You have to reject socialism, Democrats, and you have to reject Joe Biden. This is a quote I would remind everyone of by Lenin, as a matter of fact, in 1905. We must combat religion. This is the ABC of all materialism and consequently Marxism. Socialism will lead to communism and Marxism. Jeff writes, people of faith must reject the socialist philosophy and the elimination of our individual freedoms espoused by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and today's Democrat Party, as it is antithetical to our Judeo-Christian traditions. The only way to prevent its implementation is to re-elect Donald Trump. Jeff writes, we're at a breaking point. While the MSM claims that Biden is moderate, the leftist policies he has endorsed to gain Bernie voter support are socialist, and the politics of his VP pick is to the left of Bernie. So look at what she issued this weekend. Sounds like Karl Marx. A century of history has shown where that path leads. We all embrace equal opportunity, but government-enforced equality of outcomes is clearly Marxism. The U.S. version of democracy insists that, with some exceptions, the rights of the individual are superior to the rights of the collective or the government, which is the exact opposite of what leftists want for you. One of those primary rights is the freedom of religion. And before they go to the voting booth, people of faith should understand, they should already have understood, that socialism opposes religion. Karl Marx, if you remember, he said religion is the opium of the people. And following Karl Marx's lead, socialism wants a socialist government to supersede God. God then is replaced by government. That's the only part of the reason why people of faith should be rejecting Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. Socialism destroys principles that are basic to both Judeo-Christian and American traditions, like limited government, individual responsibility, and traditional morals. Wanting to be accurate, Jeff wrote that the Post is going to focus on his area of expertise, the Judeo part of Americans' Judeo-Christian tradition. This is interesting, just mentioned by Sergeant Booker in chat. Looking at the Foxcom.com site, if Trump takes all of the red-leaning states, it's over. Trump gets 285, throw in Virginia's 13, and Alaska's 3 are just gravy. I think for tonight, because it's midnight on the East Coast, and a lot of people have to work tomorrow, my guess would be my audience right now is not massive. So it's going to be at this time that I'm going to wrap up. My guess would be we're going to have some most definitive results tomorrow. I can't stay up till midnight. I can't stay up till 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. because that's when it may occur. Maybe at 3 a.m. Who knows? If we know something conclusive, I'll be back tomorrow night. At this point, for Thursday night, as I indicated, I'm not sure I really know where we're going at this point, and a lot of other people. Jack in chat, interesting, says, Trump can even win it without Pennsylvania. We're just going to have to see how it goes. But I think an accurate conclusion would be something similar to neither side is getting the blowout that they either wanted or predicted. So it's nothing more complicated than this.
Monsieur has been locked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct tonight, the November 3rd election edition. I'm running out of steam, and I haven't had anything to eat all day. Even the dogs had more to eat than I did today. They got fed breakfast, and I fed them dinner before I came here. Didn't happen to do that for me, damn it. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And Pratt & Whitney Engines Thrust, we can all trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to give thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consorting right around 10 o'clock Pacific, I think. Thanks to Jeff Dunitz for being here tonight. Thanks to Jack Alexander for being here tonight. Thanks to you for listening. I think we're going to wake up tomorrow to an entirely different day. God bless. Take care. Let's wish for a great day, shall we?
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.